I think we can all agree that we'll be seeing a ton of DC characters in MultiVersus. If I had to guess, no franchise is going to get more reps than DC. I mean, if you really think about it, every DC character is its own franchise in a way, complete with their own comic books, movies, and shows. Today, I thought it'd be fun to go over a couple of DC characters I think we'll get in. I'm going to start with the Joker and Raven in addition to the revealed characters because they've been data mined and, well, come on, they're going to get into the game. Also, as a disclaimer, I'm recording this a couple of days before the open beta, so I could actually play for a day or two. So if these characters somehow get revealed, that's why I'm not using their official art in the photoshopped roster. To start us off, can we talk about how amazing James Gunn has been to Peacemaker? He went from being an obscure character nobody cared about to a character I genuinely think has a solid shot at MultiVersus. I absolutely loved the show, and he's quickly shot into being one of my favorite DC characters. Imagine if you could get Eagle as part of the kit, or if you could get John Cena to voice the character. That would be insane. Do you know how cool it'd be to have John Cena in MultiVersus? And if we get John Cena in MultiVersus, wouldn't it be kind of cool to get The Rock in this game too? Black Adam is obviously a character DC is trying to push to the moon right now. I kind of just think this character is inevitable, and there's genuinely a chance he could have a movie skin voiced by The Rock. Even if I'm not the biggest fan of the character, I mean, I'd play as The Rock, that's my guy. You know who else is my guy? Hal Jordan. Green Lantern is one of the most obvious choices for any DC character in a video game. A guy that can literally do anything you can think of. That's a pretty badass character to include in whatever game you're making. That especially includes MultiVersus, where the developers have shown that they're extremely creative. His power battery has already been seen in one of the trailers, and I'm pretty excited to see this guy in the game eventually. Especially since Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, and most importantly Jon Stewart could all be skins for Hal. I feel like Supergirl would also make a lot of sense for this game. Bad show aside, she's still the main character of a TV show. Not only that, but I feel like she's way too different from Superman to just make a skin for him. The way they fight, their size, and their personalities are all different enough for Kara to very much be her own in MultiVersus. You know who else was a main character of a TV show? Green Arrow. In fact, his show was probably the most successful of any of the CW DC shows. He's also the best character in Justice League Unlimited, the Injustice games, and honestly in just about everything he's in. I love Ollie, and I would definitely play as Ollie if he got into the game. I also really love the Blue Beetle, and I have a suspicion he'll show up when his movie comes out. I've been a fan of Beetle since I was first exposed to him as the coolest character in Batman the Brave and the Bold, and then he was also the coolest character in Young Justice. Really, I want to see him in more games. He'd also look way better in the MultiVersus art style than what he looked like in Injustice. That game's Blue Beetle was kind of cursed to look at, I can't lie. I'd also love to see Red Hood in MultiVersus. I really don't know what it is about his designs in Arkham and Injustice, but I'm just not a fan. Gotham Knights comes close, but I think I just prefer this character in an animated style. I mean, it kind of makes sense since I was introduced to him in the animated movie Batman Under the Red Hood. He could be a pretty cool inclusion alongside the release of Gotham Knights. And honestly, so would Batgirl. Maybe they should just save her to be released alongside her movie. This is a character that, similar to Supergirl, is definitely enough of her own character not to be a skin. Barbara is one of the most important members of the Bat family, and again, she's getting a movie. I'd be surprised if we don't see her in the game in any way. Similar to how I'd be surprised if Poison Ivy never showed up in MultiVersus. Characters already have lines where they talk to her in the files, and Harley's in the game. Harley and Ivy's relationship is pretty important representation, and I think it'd be cool if players could play as that couple in a game built around duos. Plant-based powers are also pretty unique, and I can't think of a more popular character that could bring that power set into the game. Why not add one of Gotham's leading ladies? And while we're at it, why don't we add the leading lady from Gotham? Catwoman has been in 3 of the most popular Batman movies of all time. She's been in every NetherRealm DC game, and she's kind of a big deal in DC overall. Harley and Catwoman, Batman and Catwoman, Ivy and Catwoman, there are a ton of possibilities for her duo partners. Her skin possibilities are also endless with how many appearances she's had, and I feel like this character might also be inevitable. Speaking of characters who are inevitable, how about that Darkseid guy, huh? He shows up in so many shows, movies, and games, and honestly, he's just outright one of the premier DC supervillains. I think there are villains that should get in first, but seeing Darkseid in this game would be pretty sick. There's been some talk about guild bosses, and can you name a better DC character to be a guild boss than Darkseid? I mean, I definitely can't. Here's a fun fact for you though, Aquaman is still the biggest DC movie of all time. Isn't that crazy? That's kind of crazy, right? Well, Black Manta is one of the coolest parts of that movie, and I want to see this dude in the game. I think he's ridiculously cool looking, and I'd love to see him show up at some point in MultiVersus. Again, DC villains are the perfect characters for guild bosses. You want to know a character that's just perfect for MultiVersus in general? The Flash. He's getting a movie despite how hard Ezra Miller is working to prevent that movie from coming out, and he's the main character in the longest running CW DC show. People have to like a character to sit through 11 seasons of a CW show. What the hell? 11 seasons of CW? This character is already one of DC's most popular characters, and I would say he would show up in this game alongside his movie. That movie seems to be cursed by a demon to live in hell for eternity though, so who knows when he'll actually show up. On the bright side, Aquaman 2 seems to be going okay, and we'll probably get Aquaman alongside that film. Aquaman is my favorite superhero, and I've mained him in every single fighting game where he's been playable. That would apply to this game too, and I'm patiently waiting for the King of the Seas to be playable in MultiVersus. Hopefully he'll come with his new 52 look from the cover of Justice League. But let's be honest guys, Static needs to be in this game. The good news is that there's evidence pointing towards him in the files, and he's getting a movie. I feel like this character will definitely be playable in a year or two, but I still want to mention Static because he is goated. Static Shock was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, and we really don't see enough of this guy. I mean, Injustice figured that the mobile game was good enough representation for him, so MultiVersus has a chance to make a lot of people really happy by putting him in the game. And that brings me to the most important individual character that I think MultiVersus could include from DC Comics. Do you know how sick Deathstroke would be in this game? He's been a constant in DC for years. Whether it's as the main villain in Teen Titans, the entire selling point of Arkham Origins, he's gotten his own movie, he's appeared in a ton of DC content, and why not add MultiVersus to this list? I absolutely adore this character, and I would do nightly blood rituals to manifest this character into existence. Notice that I said individual character though, because I think MultiVersus needs to be the game where every single Teen Titan is finally playable. This has never been done in a multiplayer game before, and why not finally achieve this feat in a game built around duos? They could have skins of their comic appearances, Robin could have Nightwing skins, and the characters have been hard carrying DC for the last 2 decades. I think there's a legitimate argument that the Teen Titans have done more for DC over the last 20 years than any character who's not Batman. They've had 2 massively popular shows on Cartoon Network, they've had animated movies, including one that was theatrically released, they're currently in a live-action show with Titans, Dick Grayson hard carries Young Justice where Beast Boy appears too, Cyborg was in the Justice League movie, and all of these characters have appeared in Injustice aside from Beast Boy. You know who the most wanted character for Injustice is, by the way? It's Beast Boy. MultiVersus wants to represent Warner Brothers well, right? Who better represents Warner Brothers out of DC other than the Titans? Also, if Deathstroke gets in, please give him a Slade skin, thank you. But I think that's going to do it for me. This roster was bigger than a lot of the ones I make just because I know we're going to get a lot of DC. I'm pretty hyped to see some of these characters show up in the game at some point, especially the Teen Titans, but let me know if I've missed anyone. I almost included John Constantine and Batman Beyond, but they were barely edged out by other characters on this list. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed your time here, subscribe while you're at it, and with that said, I'll smell you guys later.